I ain't gonna front, this chapter of One Piece got me a little upset, but we'll get into it once I get to the end of it. But for chapter 11:16, like, look at how big Yamato is compared to people like Suru. And Suru is tall, she like 6 feet. But anyway, we get into the chapter and everybody seems confused on how this information even existed in the first place. How was it wiped out and not other information? They just as confused as Brody was. Which makes sense, this is the first time they're getting any of this information. Meanwhile, I feel bad for Igaram, but don't worry dude, Vivi's okay. And we also get to see Chaka and Pell, and I think Pell is a sleeper pick actually. Cause I ain't forgetting how you survived that explosion that happened over Alabasta. Granted, if I can like throw my own little theory out there, I do not think he survived getting hit by this, I just think he never got hit by this. Considering that falcons are the fastest bird in the world, and Pell has the bird fruit model falcon, it would not surprise me if he was the fastest out of all like the aerial flying devil fruit users. Especially if he awakened. Maybe in this moment he awakened for the first time and he just like outran the explosion the same way Goku did on Namek to Frieza. Anyway though, it's not a big deal, that's just my speculation. But now we get the information that we kinda already knew, but Vegapunk is now letting the rest of the world know, and that's that a piece of the mother plane was stolen. Some people may have thought that, you know, he probably could have made one for them while also making one for himself, but no, he only had the one. And meanwhile, all the Seraphim and all the other CP agents are just on the ground, but they're still in bubbles. So if a Gorosei member gets over here to let them out, that's going to make this a lot harder for us, but let's hope that doesn't happen. And now we have Stussy who's wanting to save Kaku because, you know, despite all the time that she spent with Kaku really working for Vegapunk, she's still cool with Kaku and Lucci. And I think this is going to be the turning point when it comes to, you know, at least these two, and possibly Lucci too, if he finds out that they were trying to kill Kaku anyway. For these guys to finally like leave the world government, or, you know, stay with the world government, but it'll come a point in time where they'll be like, all right, CP0, do this thing that we need you to do because like our back's to a wall. And they'll be like, no. The story seems to be setting up in a way where everybody's going to end up turning their back on the world government that used to work for them. And this arc already introduced the idea of us fighting alongside CP0, so I can definitely see Oda, you know, just using that to set us up for the future. And I hope Stussy finds her way out of all this and like a happy thing to do in life, because a clone that didn't have a purpose because the person that gave him the purpose died is pretty sad stuff. Meanwhile, Vegapunk is dropping more information like, yeah, Lucy is gone because we got some crazy readings over that kingdom, and then you got King Bomb like, hey, go check Lucy and see if they good over there. And this is like really cool. It's like a collective awakening of everybody in the world of One Piece that are like skeptical about the world government, and now they're like trying to confirm all these things so they can just decide their next move of course of action together. And all of this leads up to Vegapunk's apology because he's like, you know, I was trying to make clean energy for the rest of the world, you know, my Tony Stark stuff, but it ended up being a weapon of mass destruction to take countless lives over who knows how long. But this is like the 4th, 5th time that Vegapunk's apologized already. If you were going to, like, once at the beginning, I get, but you should have did it, like, once at the beginning and then once here after you told us this, because you don't got to keep apologizing. The people down here even like, dude, it's not your fault. You don't got to do that. But it's dope to finally see, like, Crossgill. We don't get to see too much, but get to see some reaction from Crocodile, who's the brain of Crossgill. This dude's been going after an ancient weapon all this time, and he hears that the world government's got one in they bag. And he must be feeling really duped right here, because I would imagine that he didn't know that, you know, anybody in the world could read the poneglyphs. That's why Robin was so important. So to find out that the world government not only already knew about all these ancient weapons, but they practically have one already that they've been using, just showcases that you never were going to get a one-up on the world government. They always had you around their finger. So I hope this influences Crocodile's next moves. Likewise, I was really happy to see Sakazuki here finally say something, and he is absolutely livid. As he should be. Just steaming and his cigarettes melting in his hand like, you gonna tell me everything, Vegapunk. And I think because he said this, we're not gonna learn everything. And that's because York finally figured out where the message has to be coming from. And that place is the fibrostratum inside of the Iron Giant that nobody can damage and has been running amok in the background. Which is kind of funny in retrospect. It's like the Gorosei are just in full panic mode, trying to find this transponder cell on this entire island. Meanwhile, this thing is in the background just running amok, and they do not even care about it. They don't even care to stop it from like killing the people that are trying to fight back against it in the Marines. Meanwhile, it's like if you had a little bit of empathy for the people that work for you to like fight off the thing that has been trying to kill them, you would have found the Labostratum yourself. Fibrostratum, I mean, and you would have got to the transponder cell and been shut this off. But because y'all are evil dickheads, that didn't happen. Just another tally on the board for the world government screwing themselves over. And I know I skipped over Roger and the Roger Pirates already knowing everything, but that's because we already knew that they knew everything, because we saw it in the Odin flashback. Honestly, a lot in this chapter was just us learning what we already knew because the One Piece world needed to catch up with that knowledge. And then after all that, we're going on another break next week. I'm not gonna lie, like, I'm all for breaks, but I would rather Oda just like take a month off and then just release all these like Void Century past tense chapters all week to week in 1 month. Because to get like all this information and then it's like a break, all this information, a break, and it's like, man, it's breaking it up so much. In the anime, this is gonna look good, but in the manga, it just sucks to be, part of this. So overall, a pretty good chapter. It's just that, now we gotta wait 2 weeks to get the rest of the story.